Hello, hello, and welcome to our live conversation here. And we just want to have a conversation regarding this update from the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association in the context of the World Relays. So, just to give you a little backdrop, of what happened there in the World Relays. All right, Jamaica went there, and of course, a lot of Jamaicans were a bit disappointed as it relates to the performance of the Jamaican team at the World Relays held there in the Bahamas. So, as a result of the team selection, right? So, as a result of that selection, we saw Jamaica eventually making it to about four of the five finals. All right, so on day one, all right, in terms of the qualifying or getting a qualifying spot and also booking, a space in the final, the only team to have done that from Jamaica was the men's 4 by 100 meters relay team. They qualified for the final and booked their trip to the Olympic Games, all right, in Paris on day one. So, as a result of the performances of the remaining teams, so the mixed 4 by 400 meters, the women's 4 by 100 meters, the women's 4 by 400 meters, and the men's 4 by 400 meters, they had to compete on day two in order to gain a qualifying spot, right? To Paris. So overall, then four of the five teams booked their trip to Paris. Unfortunately, the men's 4 by 400 meters team did not secure a qualifying spot, all right, to the Olympic Games in Paris. So based on, Jamaica's performance, again, a lot of Jamaicans have been sharing that the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association did not take the World Relays seriously. So, in light of that, the JAAAs they responded to the criticism. So, just to give you an overview of what this conversation is about. So, welcome. Please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. For this conversation, I am joined by Ruren. Hello, Ruren. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm not doing too badly. How are you doing?
I'm doing fairly well.
Want to say hello to your audience as well. It's good to have you here. Please make sure that you communicate with us in the chat. That would be really awesome. Love the fact that you have been liking so far. So just let us hear your thoughts in the chat. Passing back over to you, Natasha.
Yeah, before you pass over to me, I guess I'll take the baton and then perhaps provide some more information, and then we'll get the opportunity to talk as well. All right. So again, welcome. If you're just tuning in, it's not just going to be us here talking. We would love to hear from you. So soon you will see the WhatsApp number there on screen for you to share. All right, so about a day ago, right, the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, they pretty much stated that, we did all we could. All right, and in an article from the Jamaica Gleaner, it says Dre Tries says it could not help producing weakened teams for world relays. All right, so in this context, the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, they congratulated the relay teams that qualified for the Olympics in Paris this summer. And so this is pretty much from that same article. All right. And they're pretty much saying that they did not take it lightly. All right, the J3's pronouncement came on the back of rising concerns about the inexperience of the teams sent to the World Relays last weekend. The four teams, the men's and women's 4 by 100 meters, the men's and women's 4 by 400 meters units were pretty much, lacking big names normally associated with Jamaica's big sprinting reputation. So, in the context of the teams, the men's 100-meter team was made up of Brian Level, Kadrian Goldston, Raheem Ford, and Sandre Davidson. It was missing the likes of Johan Blake, Akeem Blake, and Oblique Seville. All right, despite the missing speed, the team qualified for the Summer Games, and might I add, on day one. And a lot of you will say in the final they came last, dead last. All right, but they did qualify on day one. All right, the men's 4 by 400-meter team of Malik James King, Zandrian Barnes, Asini Wilson, and Dimish Gay wasn't so lucky. So they did not make it in terms of qualifying on day one, and they did not qualify on day two. All right, so that team missed names like Antonio Watson, the reigning world champion, fourth placed, and were forced to have Rasheen McDonald and Rashawn Clark running the mixed relay along with Leah Anderson and Genevieve Russell. While the other teams, the women's 4 by 400 and 4 by 100 also qualified, they too, according to the Gleaner, were a weakened bunch. All right, the team of Jodian Williams, Kia Clayton, Alana Reed, and Ramona Burchell in the 4 by 100, all right, were pretty much, as we know on day one, they did not make the qualifying team. All right, they qualified, they did not gain a qualifying spot, but they did on day two. All right, the same can be said of the 4 by 400 team of Karaoke Young, Ashley Williams, Janelle Broomfield, and Ronisha McGregor. All right, all talented ladies, but again, they had to do the double. They did not make it on day one, and they did on day two. All right. In a release, the J3A said it went through its regular planning for big events, but were plagued by setbacks it had no control over. And here, as is the norm prior to selection, athletes, coaches, and agents were contacted with a deadline date regarding their availability. This is then passed to the selection committee according to the release from the J3As. After selection and team entry, we were plagued with withdrawals and had to continue with those available. So that's according to the J3As. And according to the release, the J3As would be making no further pronouncements on the matter until it receives reports from the management team at the World Athletics. I suppose World Relays. Still, the J3As has commended the makeshift teams for their performances. All right, so artists, congratulations to those who represented us as we strive to keep Jamaica's flag high. And again, this is an article from the Jamaica Gleaner. All right, so that's pretty much what we have there. And we like to pretty much bring you, what is definitely there because we want to keep you, informed as to what is happening in that context. All right. So definitely felt that it was important to come back here and have, this conversation with you in the context of the World Relays. And I guess for some of us, we cannot help but look at the names that will be at the Jamaica Invitational and, perhaps wonder what's happening. Was that a strategy? We also saw For example, Natasha Morrison, she participated in Doha and on the Diamond League circuit today. So just trying to figure out what is going on. Is it that for some athletes it could be where they determine that I don't want to be there, I don't want to participate, and then in the end, we were talking about this equity and fairness. Well, fairness in that context, when perhaps the top athletes, they do not make themselves available, then should they get a spot when it comes to, say, now going to the Olympic Games, and we know how that is going to turn out, perhaps, in some shape or form. And so when we think about that, it could be a case where athletes are withdrawing because they are not, well, in terms of physically well, or what is happening in that context. So Ruren, I'm just going to come over to you quickly to hear your views, perspectives on what's happening, and in the context of the J trees.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what is happening, but what I appreciate most of all was the fact that the JTAs rather, the JTAs came out and provided some information. So the fact that they saw it necessary to come out and provide information for the fans was absolutely important, and I have to give them kudos for that, because providing that information shows that yes, we are, acknowledging your concerns and shedding a little bit of light on what actually happened. So I love that, and I love the fact that they commended the athletes as it related to their performances there. So in essence, what they're saying is that is the J trace. They're saying that we only could have selected a team based on who is available, and in that sense, you have to just commend them for getting that out there so persons understand. Why persons were unavailable, I am not sure, but you know, hopefully hopefully this won't happen again, and I hope this wasn't a lack in terms of some form of planning, from the J trade, or I'm not too sure what is happening, but as I said, it's a good look that they came out, and based on the article that you were reading just now, it sounds like whenever the report comes out, that they will update us on that as well. So some good points. We spoke before on this matter, and we spoke about the transparency, and I think this is a good step in that direction, where they are providing us with certain information that will give us a better understanding of what is happening. So they're saying athletes weren't available, so they had to work with who accepted that invitation. And I think a lot of Jamaican athletic supporters will be appreciative of this communication from the JTAs. Passing back over to you, Natasha Lee.
All right, thank you. So, I guess from this, I did not get so much, apart from, they were pretty much working with, athletes, who made themselves available. If we look back at the original list that was published in the context of the athletes, right? Who would be participating there? I'm just trying to go back there just to get to that point in the context of the J trees there. All right, so I'm there. So you can also view this list, on the community tab. So based on the names in the relay pool, We had Kemba Nelson, Alana Reed, Jodian Williams, Ramona Burchell, Mikhail Moody, Natasha Morrison, Yannick Dale. So we did not see Kemba, Mikhail, Natasha Morrison, and Yannick Dale. Tia was included in this, but her name is not here, but we saw Tia Clayton. All right. Over on the 4 by 400, and we could look at the list, right? So I am just wondering now, is it a case where some athletes did not know about this? Because, sometimes we'll hear, some other information. And what happens in that context where, so what if all the athletes said no? I mean, you can't force anyone to go, but, I am trying to figure out how do we fix this problem where, for example, an athlete decides, let's say, not saying this is a possibility, let's say at the World Relays, they're not getting compensation. And an athlete decides that I don't want to go there to run because I am not getting any compensation, right? And then right after, let's say the same week, the athletes are running elsewhere where they're getting compensation. At what point can J3 says, okay, if you don't at least participate in whatever, I don't know, but I understand the concerns of, Jamaicans in this context where we have seen, and it's because of the experience and the lack of accountability or transparency. Because we have seen where you could have a good setup in terms of relay teams. And sometimes, like, I was perhaps one of those people, when I saw the mixed relay at World Champ, like, I don't think the selection team is taking this mixed relay thing seriously. And so, in the context of that, how can we fix this? Right? What is so wrong? Because when you think about big names, and I stand corrected here, my understanding is that Talu opened their season at the World Relays. So while some people might say, well, athletes have not yet opened their season, so that is why they're not present. But look at Talu. She opened her season at the World Relays, I believe. Yes, if my memory serves me well. And she will be in Jamaica tomorrow to pretty much, I guess, run in an individual event. So what is happening here in that context? We saw likes of, Fenkable, Lyles, Gabby, Andre Degrasse, some top athletes. So why is it that we, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with the young athletes. They did their very best in terms of representing our country, and they did that with all that they could, right? So kudos, congratulations going out to them. But where are the star athletes in terms of even, cushioning, supporting some of the young athletes, in this space, right? So that they can have that experience. So for me, wanting to hear more from the J3s would be good in terms of accountability. I don't know how much more they're going to share or they can share. And so, that would be good. So right now, Ruben, I'm coming back over to you. But guys, the phone number is on screen, WhatsApp number. We would love to hear from you. Don't be afraid to give us a call, okay? So welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, Japi Sports Talk, welcome, welcome. And guys, you can definitely go over to Japi and hit that subscription button there as well. All right, guys, please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. So, Ruren, I'm coming back over to you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one in terms of what the Trays will be willing to share if they're well, based on what you read, they said that they're not going to share much more until the report comes back. And I was saying earlier too that I would appreciate if they would come forward with the findings of that report. So that's what I am foreseeing. And just to touch on your point, as you mentioned, you said Talu was one of those top athletes that came in and performed at the World Relay. And what I'm wondering is if each country has their own standards. You alluded to the fact that persons might have not chosen the World Relay because they were not compensated. And I'm wondering if a person like Talu was compensated by her country, is there anything
Well,
that regulates the how an athlete operates under the auspices of their country? So,
good
lots
question
to
there,
consider.
Ruel. Could I just get in there a little bit before I totally forget this? So I can't say in the context of compensation, that was just like, and a possibility, right? In the context of Talu, even if she's a star athlete, and so she could decide not to come, right, in terms of participating at the world relays, she went there and she gave it her best. But the difference here between, say, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, and Jamaica is that Jamaica has lots of athletes, right? Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, they probably don't have that, well, quality in terms of making it to a final. So you're going to see Talu coming out to ensure that, that happens, that becomes a reality. Over on the Jamaican side of things, we have so many quality athletes where we could make the final even if we don't see a Shelly Sharika or Elaine. So for me, I am trying to understand if it's a case where we're pretty much saying, you know what, this work is not for me. I am, at a different level. So, or, what's happening with the J3As? Is it that you're not able to market, to athletes more? Or do you now need to look at that other shoe company that is trying to, engage you in terms of the offer that they have there on the table? Is it time for you to negotiate something else so that you can ensure that, when Jamaica goes out there to participate, we have the best of the best in terms of quality, right? And so if it is compensation and that is lacking, then perhaps the J3s need to look at that other offer that is being presented to them. Nothing is wrong with looking and see if you want, negotiating. I'm not too sure what's going on there, but perhaps, that. So I guess coming back to your question there, Ruren, if we should perhaps remove the compensation aspect of it when we look at some of these countries, like India. Look at India, and they were able to get two teams, right, to the final, to Paris, sorry, there. And when you think about India, while far bigger than Jamaica, Jamaica would have, more in terms of quality athletes, top athletes that can make it to the Olympic, relay finals or the Olympic Games in the context of the relays. So we're just, I am just wondering if it's a case where we feel like we reach and we just say, you know what, this is not for me. And if that is the case, then my thing now goes back to the whole notion of fairness. Is it fair for these young athletes to put out so much, all their best for Jamaica, and then they do not get that opportunity to represent the country in Paris? And you mentioned a very good point last time that perhaps some of these athletes will not even make the team. to go there and perhaps may miss, that experience in terms of just being a spectator and looking on. So I'm coming back over to you.
Yes, I'm still here. It's a lot of gray. There are lots of gray areas there, and only persons who are in J3 and have certain portfolio will be able to answer. So we just have to speculate going forward. But as I said before, and as I analyze this situation, you know, the fact is J3 had to send who was available and the persons who made themselves available. And based on the information that you presented just now, they said that they sent out information to the different clubs and athletes, and they selected a team based on who were available. So we have to just give them the benefit of the doubt on that. And also, when I think about the whole J3A thing and adding relays to that context, relays, it's not just like an athlete coming from a camp, it's going to be them selecting athletes that will be able to work together to complete a relay race. So that adds complexities to it. So the thing is, as I said, I'm happy that they came out. I don't know if it was a case where they were approached or they sought the media houses to do that. I'm not sure. Hopefully, it was on their part where they sought the media houses just to broadcast and give an update so that people would be able to understand or better understand what happened in in the world really. But you know, as I said, I am proud of what happened there. And, even I'm looking on it's kind of hard to find a perfect thing. If we had our best athletes there, yes, they would qualify on well, chances are they would have qualified on the first day and we would all be happy. And, if we sent the second string, our second set of athletes, not the ones that are at the pinnacle, and they did not qualify, I guess we would still be having the same discussions. But you know, putting things based on what was presented by the J3As, you just have to work with who is available. And it is very unfortunate that the 4x400 male team the male team did not qualify for the Olympics, and will have to find somewhere else to run some good time in order to qualify. So I'm more on that side. I'm trying to analyze it from trying to put on the shoes of J Trail and the persons who are selecting the team. If the top athletes did not make themselves available, then they'll have to just work with who is there, and that's just where I am at when it comes down to this one. Back over to you now.
Okay, so still stay with me here a little bit. So if it is then that, athletes, they're not making themselves available, and let's say, for example, it's not like a medical reason, do you believe that there should be something in policy where if it is that, they're not available to participate, say, for example, at the World Relays, they will not get the opportunity to participate at, I guess the greatest show on earth, the Olympic Games, would that make sense? I'm just putting that out there to you, just asking.
For sure, that makes perfect sense, and that is why I made the point before. Like, if they were asked, "Are you willing to participate?" and they said no, then you have to work with what they said. But if it were a case where policy said that you need to be at the World Relays in order to be at the Olympic Games, then I'm sure you would see different athletes turning out and persons doing the necessary stuff to protect themselves or ensure that they are in contention to go to the Olympic game. As you mentioned earlier, providing that medical note or whatever that is just to ensure that person's, your spot or the possibility of your spot is still available. So it definitely, I think that probably there is some sort of gap there in policy, and that was capitalized on, if you want to look at it in that regard.
Well, because for me, it is sad. Say, when you have the top athletes go, they get to put, that Olympic participation, they get that on their CVs, right? They get that. And so, in the context of these young athletes, yes, they'll have to say, well, I participated at the World Relays, but once you're, Olympic Games, you think about the standard, that means, you're good enough. You're on the world stage there. And so in that context, I am wondering if it is time for a policy, something looking like that where, you know, if it is that you're not participating here, like in the when they have like perhaps relay camps or for like world championships, that kind of thing in the context of the world relays here, if it is that, you're not participating or, unless there is some unforeseen, events or some medical issues, then because to me it's unfair, in a sense. And I know that for Jamaicans, if we have these four ladies who took us, who's pretty much taking us from paradise to Paris, and if Jamaica should send them to the Olympic Games, a problem. I tell you, it's gonna be problem because you're going to hear
And
say we have top athletes there. We have Sharika Elaine and whoever, and we make them for young ones run when I have no experience, which they would have a point, but it's pointless too if Jamaica does not get a qualifying spot. We won't have the star athletes to put in that position to run. So, I don't know. Just putting all, some possibilities out there on the table. So yes, Rurian, back to you.
yeah, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm breaking it down to the smallest bits, and this is how I look at it. If the top athletes came out to run, they qualified, we'd all be happy with them going through and, dealing with matters, so to speak, getting that qualifying spot. But, when you flip the situation over, one, if these top athletes went there, these athletes that got an opportunity just now, they would not get that opportunity on the world stage. So we can look on this positively as well. They got the opportunity, and for the most part, they delivered on that. They still
No,
achieved the
so
task. So
so
just hear
Rurian,
me out. Just hear me out. Hear me out, please. So they got that opportunity. They grasped it. They got us over the line there. You were mentioning now is that it probably would be fair for those same athletes to go and participate at the the Olympics. That would probably be fair. But if those same athletes, if we're going to send those same athletes to the Olympics, remember they didn't. If, apart from that team, that 4x100 team that qualified on day one, the
that was the
others
point I
qualified
was going
on
to
day
make.
two. So they qualified on day two. They qualified on day two. Those four persons, that team, chances are would not even medal in the Olympic Games.
We're
So
getting a
this,
call. We're getting a call, Ruben. Could you
all
just
right, no
hold that? Let
problem.
me take this
Great.
call. Hello, caller, you're live.
Hello, good evening.
Good
Good night.
evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too badly at all. Just listening, and I would like to, maybe contribute to the what is being said.
For
Really
sure. This
believe
is
it's not
Errol, right?
the last time I checked. Yes.
Wonderful. Thanks for calling, Errol.
Okay. You're welcome. Yes. I am of the. I don't know. I didn't. I don't know a lot of what went down, what transpired, but the little that I know, I get to understand is that it's not only that Jamaica did not the elite is like it goes with the tier the athletes. There are different tiers of athletes, and the Sharika and the Elaine and the Shelly, and so maybe those are the elite
Right.
athletes. I'm talking about the ladies now. And it is what I get is not only that they weren't there, but the tier, the second in line of
Right.
athletes were not, did not participate either. You made mention of the athletes participating, and of course, a lot, Jamaica qualified, and they probably won't be there at the Olympics and so on. But considering what happened at Olympics, sometimes you have these preliminary races, and the ones who run these first preliminary races, sometimes they don't even run
The
the final,
final. That's
Yeah,
true.
sometimes. So, to say that, okay, these were not going to or are not going to be there means that they would not be on the relay, in the relay pool either. That's what it is being said. Because when a relay team is being selected, it's not only four athletes,
It's
sometimes
six.
eight,
It's six.
six or
Yeah.
six or six. Okay. So the point what I'm getting, the feel I'm getting is that these athletes are not, on referring to the ladies alone, but the whole contingent there were not the second tier athletes.
Right.
Those athletes were second in line to the elite athletes, and it's like they were down the ladder. That's the impression I'm getting. And if you can shed some light, you and your co-host can shed some light on this, I would be willing to hear it, because it's not only that the elite athletes were not there. Those were there were not even second tier athletes.
Yeah, I get
And
what you're saying. I don't want to categorize athletes, but when we look at, Jamaican athletes, so as you mentioned, the elite, if you want to say Shelly, Sharika, Elaine, but then we have like, Brianna Williams, Natasha Morrison. We have other athletes within, that could have done it without, the star athletes. And so
that's exactly what I'm saying.
right.
Hello?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. Yes. So that's what I'm saying is that the second tier athletes did not represent Jamaica then. It was down the letter. The athletes were not second in line then to these elite athletes, and maybe that was one of concern to the Jamaica. That's what is on the ground. The news on the ground is that those representing Jamaica were not even second tier athletes, and I don't know how.
So I have
If you
this
can shed
question.
some light on it.
I have this question for you, Errol. So in the event that with the elite, they have not made themselves available, or the second tier, as you would refer them, they are not available, then Jamaica is pretty much in a spot to select the athletes who are available. And
Yes. The available ones then say whatever those athletes that representing us were the only available one. That there is some problem. If those athletes that who represented us there at the world relays were the only available ones, that means that there is some work to be done. Something has to be done, because it I don't understand why, and you will give some ideas, some possible reasons why it is so. We don't know. But I have not heard, I did not get the first part of your program. So I did not get the report what the J3 put out there.
Oh,
And so on.
they pretty much said that, they had, I guess, some challenges because they sent out, I guess, the invitation to coaches, agents, and, in terms of athletes and with a time. So they got I guess, a cutoff date in terms of submitting their availability. And based on the athletes who were available, they made their selection, and they pretty much stated too that at points there were withdrawals from, I guess, those athletes who, I guess, initially said they were available, due to, I guess, some aspect of it, injuries as well. And they are saying that they're not going to comment on the matter any further until they get a report from the management team, including the medical, I guess, personnel, who were in Bahamas there over the weekend. So they're waiting for that. So we are pretty much
something.
Yeah.
Sorry. Continue. Sorry.
Okay, so we're pretty much like in a spot now in terms of trying to figure out, is it a case where, athletes are just making themselves unavailable because of perhaps the lack of compensation? Or is it a case where this event wasn't taken seriously overall by athletes and the J3s?
Well, if it is so, then there is a big blunder. There's obviously blunder, and especially on the management, on the hierarchy of the J3s. But I understand that there was some report or some interview, something in the public domain stating that one of the coaches said they weren't aware of it being a qualifying meet for the Olympic. Did you get that? Did you get that information, or there's any truth to that?
No, I don't know about that, but I could double check. I'm not too sure, but that's interesting. And we were kind of talking about that to say, is it a case where some persons perhaps did not know about this? And, again, too, if this is a world event. So if the hierarchy in terms of leadership at the J3s, they're seeing athletes withdraw and are not, being available, what do you do in a situation like that to emphasize the importance of this world event? Is it that you just stay there, or I don't know, if it's a case where the compensation is lacking, then do you provide that to ensure that the best, is representing brand Jamaica? Because when you think about 5 finals and Jamaica just making one and coming last, then you know that something is wrong. It speaks volumes.
Our legacy was tarnished, or was really trodden on. Our legacy there, because we are one of the, sprinting powers of the world. We are world renowned for that, and for that to happen, you call the name of a team there, a country there that had to find, it's, I'm not belittling, I'm not saying stereotyping, but I'm just saying that it is so sad that this happened. And what is there, as I understand, and maybe it is not so, I'm hoping that it is not so, that a senior member of the coaching staff there, management team, who went to the World Relays, spoke or reported that it was not known to them that it would be a qualifying meet for the Olympic. It's mind-boggling. Believe me, if it is so, it is mind-boggling. And I think a more detail, it has to be, something has to be done in terms of more information coming out. They say they will not do more until a report is submitted. We await this to see exactly, and hopefully we can get to the root of this, because this is really embarrassing to us as a nation.
Yeah, I totally
It has to be
understand.
probed. It must be probed more.
Yeah, and I like the fact that a lot of us we're on it, because if you remember World Championships, we did not hear anything about the relays. So I guess now, they say pressure bust pipe. So let's keep the pressure on, and we want to hear some more in the context why you don't need to state specifically, who the athletes, are in terms of being unavailable, but at least some reasons as to why they are not available. Is it medical reason? What's the number one factor? Because we need to look at these factors and try to analyze, where we're at in this context, so that something like this does not happen again. Because
That
it's
is true.
it can't be like this. So either some policy, something should definitely come in place, so that this situation, does not, happen again. That is definitely important.
All right. So I just give my insight as to, as to what transpired, and to await more information. I listen to your program. I will come off now and allow the person to participate while I listen to your program. All right.
Thank you so
You
much,
take care.
Errol. Take care. Blessings.
Okay then. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye. All right, so Errol there, Rurian, I'm just going to skip over to you again there. Hopefully your chain of thoughts were not broken and you just paused and now you can
Well,
just, touch play. All right,
well,
Carter
yeah.
Soji Loveless, channel member, bless up yourself too right there, and blessings to you to Rurian from Soji. All right, back to you, Rurian.
No worries. That's big up Soji all the time. Well, I was listening, and this is my chain of thoughts now, because this can be looked on in two ways, and this is, I'm going to make a few points here, and I'm going to ask you and all the persons who are listening, to tell me what you make of this point of view. The fact that Jamaica had, not have they did not have their first team, probably not the second or their third team, but the fact that we were able to qualify for 4 out of 5 finals without sending none of our A or B class, athletes based on past performances. Wouldn't you look on this positively, saying that the Jamaican athletics, there is a lot of depth in that. So in the sense where we have athletes that are not recognized, not renowned any at all, but we are able to qualify in that regard. So I'm looking on it from this standpoint that these athletes that went over there, they were tasked with getting the team qualified. That team qualified in terms of whatever that particular relay. And I'm thinking that they did an exceptional job. And I'm going to add to that. And I'm saying if the A or the B so-called, we could classify them as the A and B athletes. If they went and participated, these athletes would never get a chance to perform on the world stage. That's what I'm looking at. This opportunity that they got
Can
is
I can I
priceless.
come in? Can I come in here?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I get what you're saying, and I'm not disputing that. In terms of, and I said that, at the beginning, and I'll continue to say this. The young athletes that went, or, they did their best in terms of representing Jamaica. Now, it depends on how you're going to look at it. When you look at a final and Jamaica is only making one of the 5 finals and coming last in the only one, that is problematic for me, right? So when I look at it, yes, they qualified, right, to in terms of 4 out of the 5 teams making it. But what if there weren't any day two to save you? Because no day two means that pretty much the top eight is not there in the field anymore. So it means that Jamaica is perhaps 9 or 10, somewhere there, if you're looking at the number, right? And so for me, in that context, I understand that, they may not be on the world stage, but, you grow over time. Similar to how you perhaps see an emergence of a Shelley and Fraser elite, you go through the stages, the phases. Not saying that these young athletes, they do not, you do not they should not get this opportunity to be on the world stage, but not at the cost of, I guess, this kind of performance, and not at the cost that we have other athletes who could do this. And again, not saying that you could have a blend where you have more experienced athletes, supporting the younger athletes. That could work, and we would see a big difference there. So, to me, if it's a case, because as I said, J trades, they're pretty much saying that no, it isn't the case that they did not, take this, seriously, that they did. And so I am wondering, but even as you say, Jamaica is there. Can we imagine if we have the elite athletes running? But you and I, and perhaps a lot of us here on this live, we have seen how poor relay selections, right, at world championships cost Jamaica, gold medals. So something is happening there, somewhere there, as it relates to team selection. And so, is it a case then, Rory, and I'm coming back to you, is it a case where somebody should, resign, or somebody should leave, or somebody should be fired for this? What is happening? Because, we have talked about this relay, and if you guys go back to some of the live conversations that we have had, you will notice that, there has always been some issues with relay selection. So even though we have these talented young ladies, that and young men, who represented us, to the best of their abilities there in the Bahamas, right? And even so, when we have, the quality at the world stage, sometimes the selection at the world stage just does not work out in Jamaica's favor, or perhaps so they arrange the team, and then who do we ask about arrangement and selection? Do we ask the athletes, why was the team arranged this way? Or is it a case where a particular athlete does not want to run at a particular leg? What's going on there? Is it a case too where when we have so many dominant elite athletes, they get to kind of decide what goes, and what does not? So some questions there, and the only way that we can get a good picture of what is happening is if J Trays continue to speak up in the sense of just being transparent. Let us know if it's a case where certain camp, the coaches said they're not running. Let us know, because we want to have an idea of what is happening, so we can say, okay, at least not making themselves available because they feel like this meet is perhaps not important. So J3s, they have that job to do in terms of not singling out any athletes, but just, sharing some information. I have a call coming in here, so let us take this call.
Yes, Natalie, I agree with that. My brother Rorel,
Oh,
I
Soji,
don't never agree with it.
big up
What you were
yourself.
saying. Yeah, I never agree with my brother when he said, because when you come to these needs, this is a world really.
Soji,
You
you
don't
didn't see
say
Sharika run a
you have to
stadium,
leave.
run a stadium the weekend? I heard, I think it was Althea
Yeah,
said on the live that Sharika was running at the nationals. And I'm like,
yeah,
what?
she run at the national stadium, yeah. And win at the so that's why I said that's why I text you and said no, because Jackson run the same day at the national stadiums. But what happened? Some of these coaches, I don't know if them want them don't believe in relay. They just want the individual thing. You hear what Bolt man just said? Him said Jamaica have it real hard
Yeah, with
to
the
go to the
4x4.
Olympics with the 4
Yeah,
by 4.
because which three
Yeah,
country they're going to find to
you
run
know,
with.
no. But what I'm saying, in the first place, big boy should even go nowhere. He mess up the mixed relay, and they still put him back out there to start it. But what I'm saying, you don't send these type of athlete to embarrass Jamaica. You send them go Panam game and those type of meet.
Yeah,
Where nobody now
Commonwealth,
watch it.
Commonwealth
And the
games.
Commonwealth and those things where nobody now watch. You know, saying the top is saying these type of athlete and this world really. You see America saying the reason why Jamaica do not break the 4x100 meter record already is because that's what you said, Natalie, poor selection with the relay. Because it's them have Jackson to end the relay. Jackson should run in the second leg as a 200 runner. Shelly to anchor Ilian on the third leg at that Olympic. You can imagine, say, 3 of you reach, if you finish 1, 2, 3, and 4 of you run, with it, you get the best start. I only couldn't break that record. Because what happened, Jackson do not make up no ground at the World Championship and Shakiri. Jackson get going when she reaches 60, 70 meters. That's when she started to run. So no, give her the longest leg, the back stretch. And it over. But if Jamaica do not continue to practice the relay, because if you take notice, well, they don't even know for and over batting. You see, America find a mistake. They have relay camp.
Yes.
From earlier. They have camp. Jamaica, them just go, they want, okay, Shelly, you win, it don't matter, you don't have to run now. Oh, you win. No, we can't do that, we have to change. The world, they see the world catching up on we, we did catch up on America. America start to improve back again. So we, need to start to improve now.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
As we said, the one final we're going to finish dead last.
It's a hard pill to swallow. I can't swallow that pill, trust me.
Are you guys able to hear me?
To Jamaica, you can't shame me like that. With the England, some of my friends, they mock me, say, oh, Jamaica run dead last, but we can't say nothing. You think they're going to say Jamaica 8 team or 10 team at Jamaica lose? Jamaica come dead last.
I get what you're saying.
The one final limit. Because, as you said, if it was not second day, or it would go.
Yeah, like, day one, lots of people did not get good sleep. And I think you were on the live at one point, and you say you can't watch this man.
Right. Yeah, we couldn't watch it no more. I couldn't watch it no more. We just come off and say, no, I'm not watch no more. No, we can't do them type of mistake that we cannot do. Okay, no, don't say the top athlete them now, but come Saturday now, tomorrow,
yes.
big meet, all of them run. No, what kind of thing? That means it's not another Jamaica on the guy love. And just look in this just for the money.
And this is what I am wondering, and this is what I am wondering too, Soji. Is it a case where the compensation was perhaps not there or not a good package for the world relays, so it was not attractive to some athletes? Marcus, some things you do for country because of patriotism. I would want to see my country moving forward, but when you look at this one, and for the JAAA's, their invitational tomorrow, and we'll be here live, guys, bringing in some athletes, obviously some money is going into that, right? So is it a case where
money going into that?
Is it a case where then perhaps, when, and this is my thing, at the point when J3 they recognized that we weren't getting the quality athletes that we needed, could they not have done something in terms of attracting, at least one or two, good athletes, top athletes in each event?
What I see, okay, you what me saying? I mean, no majority of these athletes don't really run for Jamaica. They just run what in it for them. Because if you look at it, if the Olympic and the World Championship was not a big meet where you get prize money and so forth, they wouldn't think about it.
Well, the Olympics, to be fair, is just the first time I think they're introducing money. It has always been the World Championships.
No, but when you World Championship with money, but the Olympic, what you should say, the Olympic, remember when you go to the Olympic,
you get sponsors and
you can be a millionaire,
right?
You get sponsors and so what I'm saying to you, that's why country like Nigeria and those people hungry for they will come and run the girl. She win the World Championship, but she still leave from the World Championship to the Commonwealth Games same way, because she want to win for her country. And the more you go there and so forth. And I was proud that Elaine to leave from there and go to the World Champion,
the Commonwealth. Yes.
The Commonwealth,
and do the double.
For that.
Yeah.
Proud of Elaine for that to leave and go there. So these is things, what I'm saying, you can, and some of the coaches say, oh, no man, you don't have to go Commonwealth game, it's a small. No, make the athlete then go there.
And build their CVs, yes.
And yeah, and build, but I don't know what, when I look and see what happened to Jamaica, we're not talking about a country where have no athlete, couldn't make it to, so now, I happy. So that means if Jamaica don't make it, only them all the Olympic the man might just bring the 4 runner, them one reserve, then have to bring 400 runner, because they're not going to take part in the relay if they don't make it.
Right. Yep, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like one time when you're going, say if you finish in the top 6, you're going. They're changing that, because they're making the world really get competitive, because they realize most people don't want to go. So they say, all right, you have to come and the world really to qualify to go to these meets. Because they don't want to run these whole heap of rounds, run. So one round and you make it to final. They don't want to run 2, 3 rounds and so forth. So that's why they put out these things.
Yeah, so
I can't believe. But why Jamaica never bring even one of those little schoolboy if you run the 4x. What happened to the guy who run the hurdles, the little guy that running the 400 meter? He finished both. He make it to the final. Why they never bring those guys to run on the 4x4?
We are talking Rashawn Clark.
Yeah, Rashawn Clark. What I'm saying?
He was in the mix. He was in the mixed relay.
Okay, they put him in the mixed relay. What happened to the guy that did start the mixed relay in the heats? In the first race they run.
I think the mixed relay team was just the same,
No, they take out. No, it wasn't the same, because they take out the guy Matt Donald out of the mixed relay and put in Clark.
No, but Clark.
Yeah,
Clark ran day 1, didn't he? I think he ran day 1.
No, he's a guy that did have him here. A guy run day 1. He started, but he run a very good leg.
Okay.
So I was wondering what happened to him, why they never use him and don't use Matt Donald, because Matt Donald mess up the mixed relay, and they come in with the guy Clark, and he come and done well, that's they qualify. Look, when I see Bahamas put a little 16-year-old girl come and they talk to her, say, don't burn yourself out, take it easy. And she run away, left a Jamaican girl. I want to know how she that girl is, because You're running like you don't have no sense. Why you burn out yourself in the first 200 meters and don't have nothing leaving the stretch?
So do they need you
I
to call
think
coach then?
the best they should send the best team down there in the mix relay. You know is a medal you're gonna get at the Olympic. Jamaica if you put some of them top runner, girl and boy in the mix relay. We can't use them mediocre runner, we can't run. We don't have a problem with Clark, he can't run.
Yeah,
you see Obama's youth, Gardner, you see Bahamas.
Yeah, Shawnee, and for sure, so you get that top.
Look what America done. You see
Gabby Thomas double up. Double up. Cause Gabby ran in the 4x1, right? And then she went back into the final for the 4x4, and I think she ran the fastest split.
Yes, so Gabby, yes, I know it's not Gabby thing in her. Like Jackson could do that too, but why Jackson and those girls never come?
I don't know, but just to switch things up a bit, Soji. Every day we there and we talk about your girl, Liston. And we say Soji must just look at it because Soji did already say.
No, I tell you from day one, and you see coming up tomorrow. She make the 100-meter final now. So she run in the final 1-2 tomorrow.
Yeah, so, I want to see how that goes. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, definitely looking forward.
If you do some show and that meet, man. If you do some show on that meeting, start talking about these Jamaican people, them where I don't know what type of team they send out there.
I'm still Jamaicans, but for sure we're going to talk about Liston one of these days for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. If talk about her tomorrow, and a lot of person will come over the show to listen to about that because she's the queen of the crap now,
Yeah, I need to check out and see what time that is going to be.
Yeah, remember I told you, and I always preach it, tell you, said, she's the girl gonna come break
the record. Yeah.
Remember
you said
it. Remember I always tell you that?
Yep, for sure, and we always talk about it. Yeah, we always talk about it.
Yeah, man, and that's what I say for don't pick up for these Jamaican, man. So some of them should be rolling. Some of them should resign from this poor selection. Poor. How we get to make it to the final is the guy Davis, and him run so hard, and the last leg.
Sandre, right?
In the first, him run real hard. Yeah, we finish second. But when they look, dead last. You want Jamaican athlete to make name, yes. To introduce them to the crowd. Introduce them a world game. This is big meat. See, America said Niles and those boys come around the pan them 4x1.
Yeah, even Canada, their 4x1 team, I believe, was the Olympic team.
Yeah. I Olympic team them send. Yeah, Canada send Olympic team. Great Britain saying that got a strong team too.
Yeah.
Jamaica need to do something, make the girls then start practice off it, do baton change. Because the last two baton change, me see, Elaine nearly run left the baton, nearly run out of the box, move too early, These things they need to do, to train. And don't go to the big meet, don't make mistake, make people start to cry. Don't make somebody else call, and I'm just uproarious on you.
All right, thanks. Nice hearing from you, Soji.
I will watch the show because I'm going to watch the race those times.
All right, we'll try and see if we can get some access and see how that works.
Okay, then. Okay, then. Have a good night.
All right, you too, Soji. Bless up.
All right, so that's Soji there, channel member. And of course, if you're just tuning in. Please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. And Rurian, without saying anything else, I'm coming right over to you.
Why I have to big up Soji all the time, Love the conversation. I'm just, I would love to have that conversation with him live one of these times. But, you know, as I said, there are many things that we can put forward, but we have to just work based on the facts and the availability of information. They selected based on who were available. So we can't talk about persons who did not make themselves available or persons who were not contacted. It was who were available. And those athletes, they went out there, they did they did their best, they did well. And at the end of the day, I have to look at it from this standpoint. I know you might not share this view with me, or and that's fine. That's why we have it as voices in education, because we have different viewpoints. So the athletes that were selected, they got 4 out of 5 qualifications. And all in all, at the end of the day, when we look on it at its simplest form, we want our team to qualify for the Olympics. And that is what is giving a sore point right now, is that one team did not qualify for the Olympics. And that's where the concern is. Because I hear you, Natasha Lee, saying, where are they going to find 4 teams or 3 teams to compete against to run that time? So that's where the concern is. And I think that's where most persons are disappointed. But you have to select your team based on what you have to select based on who is in your pool and who made themselves available. What is happening with the other athletes? I can't tell you this or no or why they did not go forward. But you know, they work on
So,
who was
Rurian, just a quick
available.
question.
Go
Rurian, just
ahead
a
with
quick
your question.
question. So,
Yes.
in the same time frame, right? If we're going, let's just look at this. In the same time frame when the world relays were being, run or held there, right? We saw a top
Okay.
athlete, Sherika Jackson. She was participating that weekend, right? So, what is happening? Because that tells a story. To me, that is speaking, that is telling us that something is going on that perhaps we don't know about and we want to hear about. Because if it is, you can have Sharika running in Jamaica, and some people say, oh, she's just opening her season again. Palu opened her season at the World Relays. Like, why could Sharika not be in the Bahamas? Like, I am asking that question. So I am going to put that to you. At the same, pretty much the same time, when World Relays were happening, Jamaica is having a meet there, some newcomers meet. Althea was the one who brought that to my attention. And Sharika Jackson was running there. She won that race, I think, in about 11:03, something like that. What could cause that, Ruben? I just wanted to kind of
All
think
right.
about that and let
So
us hear your views.
no problem. So, I can answer that question, but what I don't want to do, if I answer that question, it's going to be based on speculation. So the truth is, the only person who can answer that question properly is Sherika Jackson or her agent or her camp. So that's putting me in a spot where I can't give you an accurate, a precise answer
I
in
get
that
that.
regard.
Yeah, we will not know,
So
but is that a good
this is
look?
my thing.
Is that
This
a
is
good
this
look?
is It's not a good look. It's not a good look, and I will not. I can't say yes, it's a good look. But remember, the persons from JTA said that they communicated with persons, and there was a window. Do you know if they did not respond within that time period? Was there a window for the
All
event
right,
that she participated
Ruran,
in?
hold
Yes.
a moment. I get that. But look at this now. If Sharika Jackson missed that window, and Sharika called J3, or the coach called J3 and said, "Listen, Sharika, we didn't get to respond to you in time, but Sharika Jackson would like to participate in the World Relays." And if it is that they did that and J3 said no, then problem did it so again. So even if Sharika missed the window and realized that, okay, I could still go, and communicated that to the J3s and say, for example, they said, no, you missed the window, that no look good either. It shows us something all right. Because if your top athlete miss one, and look at it, the same J3s, they're coming to say, from the people who said they were available, they withdrew at some point, or they weren't available anymore because of whatever reason. And I'm saying, let us know the factors or the reasons why they weren't available. Because when I look at Sharika, when we hear say Sharika run a stadium, and here say whatever, and we depend live, and I try to figure out what going with Jamaica. I said, no, that no look good. Something all right. And that to me is telling a story. What that story is, that is what I'm trying to figure out. So Jappy, I see you there. And Jappy is saying, big up Max Morgan. Max Morgan is saying, hail Carlton. And I'm seeing your comments there just now, Soji. And Jappy is also saying, big disgrace and poor excuse by J3s. Back over to you, Ruren.
All right, I'm still here. I'm still here. And I think though, yes, I am sorry that's how things panned out. I'm sorry that the fact that, the team, we could have sent forward a better team. But as I said before, there are certain questions that only the J3s can answer, and the athletes probably will be able to shed some more light on it as well. But, you know, would your views be different if all the teams qualified? Would you still have that bitter taste in your mouth, or is it
Oh,
a case where,
absolutely, absolutely. Because look and how they qualified. We weren't in apart from the 4 by 100 meters for men, we weren't in, we had to pretty much wait on day two to pretty much determine what our fate, would be in the remaining events, right? And so I still have a problem with that, because just seeing the team, I'm like, come on, we could, even with the stars in the sky, we could still find, quality athletes. And again, as I said, when Altia brought that to my attention that the J3s, they were having some newcomer meet, I'm like, how is it then that J3s, I believe it's the J3s newcomer meet, how is it that they have that meet and you still couldn't find quality athletes to go to world relays? So how come you have that meet? And
but
I need to go
not
and double
necessarily,
check. How come you have that
let
J3s
me
meet?
cut you. Let me cut you right here. And
Sure, sure.
this is where I think the issue is. The issue is that the common thing to both situation, or the common body to both situation, is the fact that J3As are that common. They are the common ones. So they should be having an event on that day. So I will hold them. I will put the responsibility on their shoulders to say, if there is world relays going on, why do you have a newcomer event going
Well,
on the
sorry, not
same day?
newcomer, all comer. I think it's all comer. Sorry, guys.
My
I
bad.
just get too passionate. It's really my bad, because perhaps it's the all comers. I think it's all comers,
Okay.
not
So
newcomers, all
I
comers.
am thinking that there shouldn't be an event on that day, seeing that that is the case. So that's where I would fault the J3 is very much having that event on that particular day where the world relays the world relays are happening. So the thing is, you're giving you're asking your athletes to choose between this or that, and I think that's where the challenge is. You That's where the problem. So because if if I heard that, and as we heard, Sharika was running in that event and not in the world, it's going to look bad. So in terms of the J trade and the respect and the importance that they place on the world relays, I would knock them there for putting the thing on the to put the I would knock them on
We're
that
We're
getting
getting
for
another
putting it on
caller
the
here,
table.
Ruben.
All right, no problem. I'll
Let me just
continue
move to the
after.
caller.
all right. Back to you, Errol.
Yeah, sorry. You all know multiple calls from one person. I mean, the
You
program
can
allows that,
you
or
can
can
go
I
ahead.
restrict that?
You can go ahead. That's okay.
Okay. Yes. Remember now. I think that our participation at the World Relays is not mainly for qualifying. It's qualifying is secondary. I think qualifying, yes, it is good, and that is a qualifying meet. But the main thrust of the matter is well, go there to perform. It's a renowned event. It started some years ago, and it is a world stage. It's all the good athletes, the athletes from over the world come and perform at this meet. So let us not focus on it saying, okay, we went there to qualify. That's not, I
Exactly.
don't think that's what, no, we went there to perform.
That's my
Just like
thing.
how the USA play in find their, the elite athletes and come there. We want to perform. We are known as a world renowned country that provide quality athletes at the highest caliber. And when we are invited to those meets, we went there to perform. Qualifying, to have it as a qualifying, I think is secondary. Yes, it's important, but I don't think the primary reason why we went there is to qualify. So, albeit that, yes, we qualified, but the fact that we could not stretch our stuff in terms of making the finals, and those that we made, we came last or second. I don't remember what position it is. It speaks volume to what we are talking about. It don't look good. It doesn't look good on our legacy as a sprinting. I would call it the sprint capital of the world, Jamaica. So when we have these events and we are not performing well there, we have to talk about it. It's in the public's domain. And I said before, and I will continue to say that they need to probe into this. Yes, we await a report from the managers, the managers there as to what happened. And this thing about they did not know, at least one person, a senior coach on it, it is said, and we are waiting verification if that is so. If he really said that he didn't know it was a qualifying meet to qualify for the Olympic Games. Which, if that is so, that is tantamount. That is really, really something has gone awry. And as I said, our participation is to go and perform well as a nation, knowing fully well how we are on top of in the top group of sprinters in the world. So qualifying is secondary, and let us remind ourselves that is what it is. All right.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thanks, Errol. Thanks for sharing that. Very, very much important.
Okay then. All right.
Definitely a world event. So thank you so much, Errol, for making that clear to us. So I'm coming over to you, Rurian. Back to you.
Yeah, great point there made by Harold. But as I said, it all comes back to who is available, and that's where it comes back to who's available to run. So, as I always do, have to give the athletes who took on that task, and they did pretty well, 80% success rate in terms of qualifying teams to the Olympic Games. I have to give them lots of credit. But
Yeah, but so I'm just
going
looking at
forward,
an
so this,
article here,
yeah,
Rurian, and so in the context, I believe this was the all comers meet, right? And the Kingston, Jamaica, and we see Sharika. Let me just read here. It looks like it's from the Observer, and it is titled Sharika Jackson Open Season with 100 meters win. And this was on May 5th. The article was published. Kingston, Jamaica, Sharika Jackson opened her 2024 competitive season with a 100 meters win at a Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association all comers meet at the National Stadium on Saturday. So that was the time when the world relays were happening. All right, the two-time 200 meters world champion ran 11.03 seconds. So at least I got that to beat training partner Tina Clayton. Crystal's 11.20, Crystal Slowly of UTEC 11.25, Kemba Nelson 11.30, and Natasha Morrison 11.32. If you go on my community tab, when the list was published for the athletes, we saw Kemba's name there and Natasha Morrison's name. So how is it then they're no longer with the World Relays, but they're at the National Stadium? All right, let's continue. The article continues by saying Julian Fort opened his outdoor season running 10.07 seconds to win the men's 100 meters. Earl Simmons was second in a win aided 10.15. Jazeel Murphy was third with 10.20, and O'Shane Bailey followed in fourth with 10.22. Herbert Morrison Technical Schoolboy DeAndre Daly ran a win-aided 10.23, just ahead of Taekwondo Tracy 10.24. Earlier in the day, Murphy won the men's 200 meters in 20.67 ahead of Dynamic Speed TC teammate Ashani Simit 20.93 with Michael Sharp of Sprintech third in 21.09. World champion Antonia Watson ran 46.75 to win the men's 400 meters, finishing ahead of Terry Thomas 47.50 and Demar Murray 47.90. All right. Travis Michael won the men's discus throw with 66.03 meters ahead of Chad Wright 62.98 and Tia Josh Mowat 52.76. Orlando Bennett won the 110-meter hurdles with 13.67 ahead of Odario Phillips 13.71 and Andre Harris 13.78. So even the more me read, the better whenever. Antonia Watson was also in Jamaica performing 400-meter world champion, while our 4x4 did not make it to, based on time, did not get a qualifying spot. So Matt Morgan in the comment there saying, Hail Japi. So back over to you, Rurian, and we're getting closer to wrapping this one up. But just reading that so that persons in the chat, or persons listening can get an understanding of some of the athletes who were there, while the world relays were being held, and we are being told from this article that it was a J3A's all comers meet. Back over to you, Rurian.
okay, Natasha, I don't know if it is by coincidence that you hand back this over to me at 11:03. So 11:03. So the same
That's a
time
good
that
one. That's a good one.
that's
That's Sharika's
Sharika.
winning time.
Right,
That's a
yeah.
good one.
Yeah, but as I said before, and I'll continue to say, they have to send who is selected. I'm not is who made themselves available. Why? As I said, I think the fundamental thing is that the events should not be on the same day, and that's a big thing. And probably that was something that influenced the choices that were made by the athletes as well. You know,
But
rather,
Rorian, and so this is why I am kind of, siding with some of our callers. Well, sided with some of our callers. Look at this. Is it a case where some of these athletes did not understand the nature of the world relays? Because if you have big names, and I guess Sharika is experienced enough to perhaps understand, like why would Antonio Watson, why would you not want to perform at the world relays? Or is it about compensation? Because I would love to know, like to me, it's just not adding up for me. It's just not
well,
adding up. So I'll
it
come back to you. Let you do the
it
maths.
can it. I'll try my best, but it could be on different levels too. It could be even based on camps because sometimes you hear little bits and pieces that persons based on certain influences that persons might be included in a particular team based on who is in charge of. You understand what I'm saying? In terms of certain camps and persons who don't work well with another person, and all sorts of stuff where they will say that Natasha Lee and Ruriel works well in terms of relay, so Natasha Lee has to run the first leg and Ruriel run the second leg. Things like those. I don't know. When it comes down to relays, it brings in a team and it brings in a lot of complications. And I'm not sure if that was a part of the situation with the selection and persons making themselves available. I am not sure. But as I said, we have to just work with what we have in the sense where, those persons who made themselves available, they did really well and almost qualified us for all the events that, the relays that we want to participate in the Olympic Games. The other thing that I was looking on too, I was saying that to myself, would we rather having an athlete who is not a, and I guess you're going to say that, let me not go down that road because I'm saying if you as the athlete deem yourself not ready to go out there to perform in a relay race or, perform on the track because of the stages that you are at in your preparation, would you go out there? And it can be, as I said, this situation is really complex. You can look at it from that financial aspect. You can look at it from an aspect like this too. All of these top athletes, they are going to be rivaling for three spots on one of those teams. All of those, the elite, the upcoming, and everyone wants a spot. Everyone wants a spot. And I'm thinking, is it a case that persons are saying, here, what, I'm not going to interfere with my program in an Olympic year to to affect my chance, to limit my
Well, you
chance.
see, if you're going to go there, then they should recuse themselves, take away themselves from the relays. Then don't be selfish. If you're going to put it that way, then Rurian to say they're focusing on themselves, then keep that focus to yourself. And so when it comes on to a collaborative or a team event, then perhaps don't think about it, because if it is that you can't work together from this stage, then that is why you have the baton mishaps and all those other things. And as Soji mentioned, that is why the record, cannot go. Because I don't feel that we can look at it that way. Yes, you're doing it for yourself, but you're representing a country as well, right? You understand when you hear Usain Bolt, people just think Jamaica because Usain Bolt is pretty much, Jamaica. When you hear Shelley and Fraser Price, you're going to hear Jamaica. Or if you ask somebody about Jamaica, they say, "Oh, I know Shelley, I know Usain, I know Elaine." So it's a brand, and while they're doing it for themselves, you kind of you kind of can't separate them. They kind of, like they say, you just can't separate them. They go together. So for me, yes, it's an Olympic year, and these young athletes too, Alana and all of them, they have their dreams in terms of making it to Paris. So they're going to run in the 100 meters. So why is it then that they can go? What? Whose dream is better in terms of going our goal, right? So if we look at it that way, and if you ask Alana, when we listen to her, brilliant young lady, she is focused on trying to make the Jamaica team. So everybody has that same goal. So why should some get, the advantage over some then? Like for me, that part does
What
not sit
what
well with
what
me.
advantage are you talking about, though?
You just make reference to say it's an Olympic year, so I'm just going to focus on me in terms of my preparation. So why is it then that the younger athletes cannot focus on themselves because it's my preparation and say, okay, I'm not going to run anything? I mean,
But
they put themselves
they
there.
had, based on what was communicated, they had that chance, and they had that choice,
Yes, so
rather
they
not
put
chance, but they had
themselves
that
there.
choice.
So I am saying if it is that an athlete is going to take the stance that they're focusing on themselves wholly and solely, then perhaps they should not consider the relay. If
But
it
you
is that
see,
you don't want to qualify to
and
get
this is
there,
and this is it too. As you said, if the team isn't there, then you won't be participating in the relay. And it's dependent on how
exactly,
you look on it. If your team is not, if there's no qualification, you won't have the relays to run. But
exactly, exactly. So why is it that if
if
you
you
know
run
that you want to run the relay, why don't you help from the get go? So my thing, something is not adding up here in the context of the world relays, and something just don't something not right. So I guess as
well,
time progresses, we might learn more.
for sure. And I guess at the end of the day, probably the challenge is with how relay teams are, organized. Let's put it that way, how it is organized. Maybe that's where the challenge is.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. So, guys, circling the chat and just to see if you have, any final comments. So, Ruren, do you have any final comments you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to all the callers who called in, all the persons who came in the chat. Errol, Errol Soji, Jappy passed through as well. All of those persons, I want to just big them up at this point in time, and thanks for their thoughts and opinion. It's so good to have these discussions because persons are able to, share their point of view. We don't necessarily have to agree, but we can have meaningful and wholesome discussions. And that's one of the hallmarks here on this platform. And, you know, that's something that I quite enjoy. So thank you for having us here. Thank you for, sharing the information as it relates to that development in terms of the J3s responding to what has happened in the world relays, and just to give them kudos on coming forward, and hopefully this form of transparency will continue, and they will continue to provide more information so that we can have better understanding of situation regarding the Jamaican athletic team. So that's it, Natasha. That's my few cents here this evening, and passing over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all your great contributions. Shai Arlene on WhatsApp is saying big up Soji. All right. So guys, please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. We'll be here tomorrow and we'll see if we can get that Brianna Liston event going. But for sure, we have the live setup already for the Jamaica Athletics Administration Administrative Association Invitational. All right, so we'll go live at about 6:30 p.m. Jamaica time. So once you go there and select all, turn on your post notification and ensure that you're subscribed, you should get that. Again, a very great conversation here. Thanks for sharing your voice, to Soji and Errol for calling in and sharing. Thank you so much. And this is what we appreciate about Voices in Education. You keeping this platform, a safe one where you can share your voice. So we might have different views or perspectives, but, we keep it respectful so we do not disrespect or belittle anyone. And, we keep it that way so that you feel, a sense of belonging here, you feel valued, and so that you can, definitely, share your voice in this community, Voices in Education. And absolutely, we learn from each other. So while we were here talking, Errol shared this is not about just qualifying. We need to move from, that, and that is so true. Like, and I guess that's where, that's back and forth between Rurian and I, we have had that because, he's on one side and I am on another side. And so for sure, that's pretty much, that. And, thank you so much for such a great conversation. And again, looking forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. And as always, once we get the updates, we'll be back. So if the J3s, share more information, which would be absolutely good, then we'll definitely be here to inform you and keep you updated. And Lock Raven is saying you guys should be able to get the last two spots, Jamaica and France. Okay, welcome. Well, it could be slim in terms of making that. So we'll see how that one goes. And I believe, they will have to have at least three teams. And perhaps we'll talk about that, some one of these days, perhaps not tomorrow. Tomorrow is a packed day. We'll look closer at the 4x4, for men and see, what the possibilities are in terms of making it to France. But from what I have heard from Glenn Mills, similar to Soji, it's going to be, somewhat challenging or very challenging given the criteria in terms of, moving forward and the time that they need. So we'll see what happens with that for sure. All right. So always, I always try to end on a little a little talk, something motivational, never planned. So I don't even know what I'm going to say to you, but I know that something will come. And so I guess I just want to say to you that, sometimes in life, we'll have, ups and downs, highs and lows, but, at some point we're not always down and we may not always be on the high, but just, know that there is hope, and, today does not mean that tomorrow is going to look the same way. So just have some hope and remember to take care of yourselves. It is important to exercise self care. All right. So take a moment to just, have, some self care activities. So whether you exercise, whatever you do for self care, it might be shopping, just spending some time with yourself. Ensure that you do something to take care of you. All right, so we'll be here tomorrow. All right, so blessings and love, everyone. And I will see you in the next live. I'm just going to play some music and we'll sign out. All right, so take care, everyone, and see you all tomorrow.